Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Pretenders or Contenders Coaches Show. I'm your host, Coach Devon Powell, Law High School. And I got my co-host here with me again tonight, Midnight Rider. How you feeling tonight, brother?
I'm good, man. How you feeling, man?
Hey, man, I can't complain at all, man.
I think we gotta get you a nickname, Coach. I forgot about that. It's kind of like one of the rites of passage, you know.
Oh, okay. I'll let y'all deal with that one.
Yeah, we will. That's the KG department. That's not that's not me.
I'll let him figure that out, and I'll roll with it. All right, man. We're gonna get straight into it tonight. We got coming to the set first. We got the head coach at Largo High School, Coach Derron Thomas. How you feeling, Coach?
Good. How you guys doing? Appreciate you having me on tonight.
Hey, man, we doing good, man, and I appreciate you coming on with us, man. Midnight Rider, Coach Derron, like I said, he's the coach at Largo High School. He's also the vice president of the Prince George's County Football Coaches Association. So we're glad to have you in here with us tonight, man. And we, like I said, we're just gonna jump right into it, man. Want to start off, man? How you about how you got into coaching and your coaching journey?
Man, so I got into my coaching journey. I kind of jumped right in right after my college playing career. I was fortunate enough to play at a high level in college. And, like most student athletes, I had dreams of going on and playing at the professional level. So, when that dream kind of ended, I was super duper depressed, right? So I came home, I'm 22, 23 years old, and I'm in the basement all day, just kind of sulking and drowning in my sorrows. And literally, my mom, I got to give a shout out to her. She walked in the basement one day and she was sick of it. So she was like, look, you just can't be sitting here. She is like, you got to do something. She was like, you got all this knowledge and you played the game. You better go try to, help some kids out or do something. You got to do something. So I said, okay, I never had really thought about coaching before. And it just so happened that one of my former high school coaches, Coach Clint Burns, was on the staff at Wise, right, coaching with DeLon Parrish. And I was living directly across the street from Wise, like walking the neighborhood across the street from Wise. That's where I lived at. So literally, I gave Coach Clint a call. I said, hey, can you talk to Coach DeLon Parrish for me and see if there's an opportunity for me? And I just walked over there one day. So I literally walked over there, and Coach Parrish was kind of looking at me like, man, who's this dude coming up, showing up to my, weight room, talking about he want to coach some football. But, he allowed me to stay around, and, he saw that I was committed and I stuck. So, Coach Parrish, he gave me my first opportunity to coach high school football. And from then on, I met Coach Fant there, who was the head coach of Largo. Well, he started at Wise, and then he got an opportunity to be the head coach at Largo, and he brought me on initially to be his head junior varsity coach. So that's pretty much how I got started in coaching.
Gotcha. So you've been at Largo about how many years now? You going into what season?
It's been a long time because I started as the junior varsity head coach. So I was the junior varsity head coach. I think it was 2009. So I did 2 years as the junior varsity head coach. And then I did 2 years as the varsity defensive coordinator at Largo. And then Coach David Fant, who's at Morgan State now, running backs coach, he happened to resign. And I guess some of the people in the building liked what I was kind of doing in my role. So they gave me the opportunity. So I've been in Largo for like the past, since 2009. So, I've been there for a long time.
Gotcha. What you got, Midnight?
Coach, I hear you're the vice president of the Prince George's County Coaches Association. What got you started into that? Like, what was your thought process in joining and playing such a big role?
I'm PG County, to the bone, right? Born and raised in PG County, played at Forestville Boys and Girls Club. Played high school football at Eleanor Roosevelt High School in the late 90s, early 2000s when we went to a few state championships. And I just kind of, jumped right in. And I always, always wanted to be committed. And, I was kind of uneasy about it when Coach Shields, kind of stepped down and Coach Powell, became the president. He gave me a call, so I thought about it. And I said, man, I love this county. So, I would love to do anything that I can to help advance, football in PG County. So that's kind of, how I, got into it. And I'm, now I'm one of the longest tenured head coaches in the county. So, I stepped up and took on the responsibility.
Cool. What's the big point? I don't want to say what's the purpose, but what's your goal as a coaches association in PG County?
We just want to advance PG County football. We want to advance PG County football, and we want to just provide, a platform for our kids to be successful. I think that all of the coaches, I think that we have a good group now, and we all share the same sentiments of trying to help our kids, become better young men first, student athletes, and then, try to help them as much as we can with the opportunity to go, play at the next level if they want to, or be successful in whatever it is that they choose to do. So, that's what I think, we aim to do as a coaches association.
Yeah, man, I speak about it. I spoke about it before with some of the other guests that we've had on from the county, man. And it's like, since I've been a part of the coaches association, one of the things that I enjoy most about it's a brotherhood. And, we get together and we fellowship. And I know people might be tired of hearing me say this, but, it's one of those things where everybody removes the on-field stuff. Every time when we're on the field, we competitors, we're trying to beat each other. But when we come together as a coaches association, man, it's all about the kids. It's all about bettering the county. And, it's just one of those things that I enjoy, as my many hats that I wear as a head coach, man. I enjoy that part of the coaching job.
Yeah, I enjoy it as well. And like you said, we battle all throughout the year, but when we come together and we meet, when we put on our events, to help our kids, whether it be all-star game, elite showcase and combines and things of that nature, we come together and put our best foot forward, and I think that we got a good rapport. We do coaches socials and everything like that. And, it's a good deal. Very good deal. I'm happy in the place that we're in as far as the coaches association goes. So now I just want to continue for us to strive and get better and, help improve the on-field product across the board.
Yep. I agree with that. Yep.
So, since you've been in your time at Largo, what do you think is something that you made a big impact on, or something that you initiated that's now up and running and is part of your program?
We came in, if I can kind of set the background for you for a second. So Largo used to be one of the biggest schools in Prince George's County, right? And it was it was a powerhouse, early 90s, mid 90s, even in the early 2000s, they were a super solid team, right? And then, Wise and Flowers opened up and it kind of split the boundary. So Largo ended up dropping from a 4A classification, which is obviously the largest classification in the state, all the way down to a 1A classification at one point. So, started off young, inexperienced, tough times, you know what I mean? But my first goal always was to make sure that the kids were striving to be better young men, right? So I would say, helping them become better young men, helping them become better students. And then on the football field, it took some time. My first 2 years, we started off 3-7. And, the prior probably 4 to 5 years before that, I think Largo may have had over a 500 record, maybe one time, right? So my first 2 years, we were 3-7. My third year, we ended up going 7-3. And then, my staff in my fourth year in the program, we ended up going 6-4. So we kind of flipped the record. A lot of it was getting the kids to believe and trying to inspire the kids. And, you know, from then on out, you know, we just trying to stay consistent and, you know, put our best foot forward and, you know, win in the classroom, off the field, on the field.
Cool. Go ahead,
And,
Coach.
We got a motto that we go by called Den Pride. That's kind of what you'll see it on our logos, you'll see it on our posters or whatever. The discipline, education, never quit, pride, relentless, integrity, desire, and endurance. So that's what we live by. Den Pride.
got you,
Love it.
got you. Yeah, you know, man. Since I've you know, taken over at law, and well, before I took over as the varsity coach, you know, I've always reached out to you guys for scrimmages. You know, with my JV squad, and you know, there's one thing that you know I always knew that if we could win against them, it was going to be a tough battle. It was always a good test for us, man, and because Derron and his staff are always going to have the guys ready to go. He has one of my boys on his staff, Jarrell. You know, one of my boys, man. So I know that those guys are working hard and always going to put those guys in a situation, man, where it's going to test you. It's going to test your squad, and it's a good measuring stick when you go up against those guys. You know, back when I was in school, like I said, I graduated in '97, so you know, Largo was always tough. You know, Largo was one of the original schools with lights in the county. So you know, if you had High Point or Largo on your schedule, you know, you had a Friday night game, and and you know that was big time down there. So, Coach, I know right now, and I don't know how far they're in the process, but I know they're redoing your field right now. How's that looking so far?
You know, it's a process. They started mid-June, you know, as far as kind of ripping up the surface. And it's actually funny you say that because I went out there today. As of last week, they had started, you know, just laying their Bermuda grass. So when I went out there today, you know, I was kind of shocked. They had the Bermuda grass laid down. The sprinkler system was on. So now it's just a matter of time. I'm not sure when it will be playable, but you know, so far so good. We're encouraged, and you know, hopefully we can, you know, have our field ready to go at some point this year. You know, it's nothing like playing. You mentioned it. You know, it's nothing like playing under the lights at Largo. You know, I still think we have one of the better atmospheres. We do have pretty good attendance at our games for 1A, 2A school. So we're excited. We're excited. We're fired up about it, and you know we can't wait. And I'm an advocate of natural grass if it's maintained properly. You know,
Yeah, if it's maintained. Yep.
that's one of the things I'm a little concerned about because we get a lot of usage on our field because there's a whole nother high school within Largo, the International High School at Largo. So they have their own sports teams as well. They have everything except for football. So pretty much during the season, there's a varsity or junior varsity soccer or football game on our field every day of the week. So, you know, we'll see how the natural surface holds up. And if it can be maintained, well, I'm all for it.
Yep, that's the big thing, man. It's all about them maintaining. You know, I mean, you know, we got the turf now, but I've always been an advocate of natural grass, man. It just feels better underneath of you when you're playing football, man. But you know, Coach Stan from Parkdale was on a couple of weeks ago, and you know, he was advocating that, you know, it's time for our county to start upgrading all our facilities, man, where everybody's on that even playing field of what we got. Whether, you know, if they decide to go back all natural grass or if everybody's going to get turf, it's time to make that move so everybody has that ability to have an updated stadium.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Not only the games, the practices. You know, I feel like we're a little bit at a disadvantage as far as, you know, when we don't have the turf field. You know, some of the time we get a heavy rain and it's scrapped. You know, our practice field doesn't drain. You know, it's muddy, so we go out there, we can't really get anything done. Where, you know, some of the teams with turf fields, they can go out there and they can still have their normal practice and not be affected by, you know, a hour, you know, hour storm or something like that. And, you know, so with that, I agree. As far as even across the board, you know, facilities, you know, weight room facilities as well. That's one of the things that we are struggling with at Largo. We find a way. My coaches, they do a great job to help our kids get as strong as possible with what we have. But we're hoping to get some improvements in that area.
Okay, cool. So real quick before I move on to my next question, a couple of comments. Coach Vic said, "Brother Boat."
Yeah, that's my guy, Coach Vic. I'm a fan of the show, so I watch it every week, and I know it's been mentioned before. Coach Vic, he's a PG County guy. He's a PG County guy.
Yes, he is.
He Coach Vic actually coached on my staff for a year. I actually stole him away for 1 year, but we weren't very good at the time, so he kind of went back. And funny thing about it is, Coach Vic and myself, we were on the last All PG County State Championship game. We played against each other, Eleanor Roosevelt versus Bowie High School. So he was playing for Bowie and I was playing for Roosevelt, and it was All PG County State Championship. A little bit of history for you.
Here we go.
Gotcha. Well, look, I've still been trying to steal Vic the last couple of years, so I'm still working on that. Yeah, come across that line. Stop hanging out in Mo County.
Great, phenomenal coach.
Yes, he is. And Reginald Williams said, "Den Pride."
Yeah, that's my best defensive coordinator in PG County to me. Obviously, that's my guy. I want to give a shout out to my whole coaching staff, because those guys been with me. They all kind of, we don't have a lot of turnover on our coaching staff. The guys that we started with, even if they may not have started with me my first year, they kind of stuck with us through the ups and downs. And I love my staff. I love those guys. Those are my brothers.
Yeah, well, good people hang around good people, man. So if you find good people, they're gonna stick around with you.
Those are my guys, man.
Let's talk about the squad this year, man. What you expecting of your team this year, man, and talk about some of your key players for this year.
I really like my team. I do. I really like the guys. From the beginning of the off season, they've done everything that I asked them to do. I'm a big advocate of playing other sports, right? Whether it be wrestling in the wintertime and running track in the spring, or basketball, baseball. I don't care what you do. I want you to be a multi-sport athlete. So from an academic standpoint, the majority of our team, does phenomenal, which has changed over the years. It wasn't always that way, but now I think we got a good handle on the academics. Obviously it's still a challenge, right? But I feel like we're good there. And we got some talented guys for sure. Obviously it's a new season and each team is different, right? So I'm looking forward to next Wednesday to seeing, a glimpse of what we got, from the real thing. But the winter went well. The summer's going well. We got a good mix of veteran guys with very, very talented young guys, right? My freshman class last year probably is the best freshman class that I've had since we've been at Largo, as far as the amount of kids that, played football before in the youth leagues and things of that nature. And then I also have some seniors, right? The seniors are the guys who kind of like the tail end of the COVID, right? So they did get all of their time in at high school. But, as you know, when we came back off of COVID, we had a couple years where it was kind of hard to fill a JV. So one year we had half of the season of a JV, and the other year we didn't have a JV the first 2 years off of COVID, right? And the crazy thing is about it, we went to the state quarterfinals both of those years. So both of those years we were 2 games away from the state championship. But those guys that were freshmen that we carried the second year, because we didn't have a junior varsity, they're all seniors now. So a lot of them have been around the program and have won a lot of football games, have won a lot of big football games, or been around the program when we won some big football games. So we're excited, specifically player-wise. I know you mentioned player. Tymon Fox, our running back. He's the 2-time PG County 1A, 2A Offensive Player of the Year. He's rushed for over 1,300 yards the last 2 years. He probably got over 40 TDs in his career. Got a defensive end, Desmond Lawrence, who's been a 3-year starter, who's great off the edge. I don't want to leave anybody out. I actually got a young quarterback returning, Akeem Jervis. Offensive line, we're returning 3 guys off the offensive line. 2 young guys that are special, in my opinion, that I think going to be special. Amir Belton, wide receiver DB. He has offers from Pitt and Virginia Tech right now. And then another guy, Rashad Payne. He's a young guy to really look forward to, seeing what they do. So again, right now, we gotta get it done in between the lines, but I'm really excited about our team in this season. We know it's going to be tough as always, though. We got a very tough schedule, so we got to get ready to go.
Gotcha. Midnight, you got anything?
Talked about his players, talked about his team. For you, what's your personal goal for this team this upcoming season?
So, all right, let me. I always say this because I do mean it. I think we all have the goal of winning the state championship. If that's not your goal, then I don't know if you're doing it for the right reasons. But there's a process involved in that, right? So right now, all I'm worried about is training camp and getting off to a good start on the first day and making sure everybody has their paperwork in order. So my AD is not texting me saying this kid can't practice, that kid can't practice. So I want to get off to a good start. We got Oxon Hill week 1, so that's going to be a super intense PG County game, to non-conference game to start off the calendar year. And we do have a goal of winning our league, right? So we want to win a 1A, 2A. We've been knocking on the door for some years now, and we want to win the 1A, 2A. That's our goal. Cool. And we want to get as many kids in college as we can.
Gotcha. You sound like me today. I was talking with my athletic director early, and I was like, "Look, man, I'm not dealing with any administrative stuff after the first day."
Yeah,
they got the paperwork together, man. They got to go.
you know how it is on that day. People trying to run up to you on the field on the first day, and players and parents, and can't do that. First day we rocking and rolling, and we gotta get this stuff done, and we gotta get this paperwork in, and we gotta get ready to roll because we don't have any days to waste.
I feel you on that one, Coach. Well, man, look, I appreciate you coming on today, man. And I'm a big fan of you and your staff, man, and the program. So I'm always gonna be watching and checking in. Like I said, Jarrell is my guy. We talk all the time, man. So nothing but the best this year, man. And man, hopefully y'all holding up that championship at the end of the season down there.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Like I said, I'm a fan of the show. I watch. I think I caught all the episodes so far.
Appreciate that.
From Coach Rapp to the other Coach Powell to Coach Stan to Coach Hale. So I appreciate you all for supporting PG County football. And we're supporting the show, and good luck to you, Coach, in your season. Stay healthy. I've been a fan of yours as well, watching what you're doing with the program over at Laurel.
Appreciate
it's
that.
a beautiful thing because I got a vision of everybody being good in PG County, man. I want everybody to be successful. And let's get out there and let's have great competitive games on Friday nights and Saturday afternoons. So, I appreciate y'all for having me, and keep the thing rocking and rolling. I'll be watching next week to see who you have on.
I appreciate that, Coach, and I'll see you down there Monday when we get down there to Media Day, man.
Yeah, Media Day. Media Day. Excited about that. It's always a good deal. I have some of those guys that I mentioned on the call earlier. There'll be a Media Day. So that's the thing that really every year that kind of gets my competitive juices flowing. When you get there and you see all the guys and you see the coaches and you see, who you're going to end up playing, and that's when it's real. So looking forward to seeing you, Coach. Appreciate you having me on.
No problem. Tell my guy Fox, man, I'm gonna have to get him for an interview when I get down there Monday too.
Hey, that's the dude right there, man. I'm telling you,
Yes, indeed.
that's my guy. I vouch for him 7 days of the week. Telling you, Tamon Fox, you know, that's a special kid and a special player. So I'll make sure you get him this week.
I appreciate that, man, and give you back the rest of your evening, man. Like I said, I'll see you down there Monday.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.
No problem. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
That was Coach Derron Thomas, Largo High School head coach. Then I brought a great coach, man, great staff. They work hard down there, man, and I said I'm expecting good things from them this year as well.
Sorry about that.
All right, man. Look, man. Hey, see, I'm on schedule today, man. We got our next guest. Say that again.
Now you good. Go ahead.
Next guest, man, we ready to bring to the stage. Like I said, I'm on time today, man, so the boss won't be mad at me. But now I'm gonna bring in my guy, man. This is, ain't nobody say nothing bad about my guy, man. This is my guy, Mike Anderson, founder, head of grassroots football, former DeMatha Stag, former University of Maryland Terp basketball and football player. I still got a picture of in my phone, man, with a shot of Mike playing against my Blue Devils, man, and I had to have my guy on the show, man. What's going on, Mike?
What's going on, man? It's wonderful to be here. So excited about you doing this show, man, and it's beautiful. It's wonderful. These days and times are serious, brother, and you're taking cold advantage of it. And I just think it's fabulous, man, what you're doing over at your school at Laurel High School, brother. Just keep up the good work. And it's just good to see you, man. It's good to be here.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Like I said, man, can't nobody ever say nothing bad about my guy, man. Just a quick story, man. When I was coaching youth ball, man, in Law, and my son DJ was playing at that time, man. And Mike, he had started the grassroots football up, and I took him out, man. I took my son and I took Antoine Littleton up to a camp that was at Gilman High School, right?
At Gilman High School, he was a sixth grader.
Yep, yeah. Sixth grade, man, and Mike was running grassroots then, man, and it was a camp, and it didn't take me but 5 minutes up there to be a believer in the vision that Mike had, man, and the impact that he had on youth football in this area. I mean, it speaks for itself. When you look at some of the NFL rosters and some of the college rosters together now, man, there's not many places that you don't see a grassroots alum playing on Sundays or Saturdays, man. And Mike, just for a midnight rider who may not know about the league, man, and the past experience, man, just give a little background on grassroots football and what you started in the DMV.
Oh my goodness, man! I started an unbelievable league. I had a amazing vision. I had a tremendous vision. It was very large and was all encompassing of something that I could do to try to show the world the level of athletes that we had here as football players. It was crazy how it got started. It got started because I was in AAU basketball. When I got finished playing at the University of Maryland, I had leukemia, and I came back from leukemia, and I played football for 2 years. That's what I was on scholarship for. But I played basketball. The year I played basketball was a year that Walt Williams and Tony Massenberg and Gerard Musoff were on the team. And Len Elmore kind of saw what I was doing and had a plan of his own. And he scooped me up, man, and had me recruit. He gave me my first job. I'm out of college. So I worked in basketball. And unfortunately, I realized that I love basketball. Basketball is probably my first love. Probably that's the reason that I went to DeMatha. I went to play basketball like most athletes do. but you end up playing multiple sports, and I was an excellent football player, and I just stopped growing. You know what I mean? At 5'10". So I was about 5'10", 185 pounds, very small for a basketball point guard, but perfect for a tailback in football. And I made, I was the honorable. I mean, I was the Washington Post Player of the Year as an 11th grader, offensive player of the year. That was a tremendous accomplishment. And I went on and played football at Maryland, and but I got pulled away from football to pursue basketball because of Len Elmore's reputation. Len Elmore, some of you guys may remember him. Some of you guys may not remember him, but he was a legend at Maryland. And to all the basketball players, his jersey hung in the rafters at our basketball practices. So him and John Lucas and Tom McMillan, we always heard about those guys. Well, anyway, when he decided to get into the sports agent business, Walt Williams was the number one recruit. His way to get to Walt Williams was through me, and it kind of got started. And before I knew it, I was 23 years old. I was in the agent business, didn't know what I was doing, but I was recruiting Walt Williams and Joe Smith and Randolph Childress. Had an unbelievable ride through that business. But all through my 20s and through my 30s, I wasn't able to pull football players, but I was able to pull basketball players, man. But I looked up, man, at about 42. I hadn't seen. I knew that the football players in this area were unbelievable because I was one of them, but I didn't see them being recruited the way they should have been recruited. And I came up with this crazy plan to put together something for youth athletes. It had to be for eighth graders. I knew it had to be for eighth graders. After their eighth grade year was over with, and they were looking at going into their ninth grade year, I wanted to get those players that were going to be recruited at the highest level. I wanted to get them playing grassroots football. I don't know how I came up with the name grassroots. To be honest with you, brother, I don't know how in the heck I did any of it. I'll be honest with you, man. It was just a dream for me. Everything about the dream came true. I did it for 10 years, from 2010 to 2019, until COVID came in.
Mm-hmm.
COVID came in and destroyed my grassroots league, man. And we couldn't play. There was no youth football for 3 years. And that's what I did. But man, during those 10 years, man, the Anthony McFarlands of the world, the Marshawn Lloyds, the Blake Corums, the Caleb Williams. I mean, guys, it's just unbelievable to think about those kids that came through my program as eighth graders. We had no idea that they were going to, become that large and become that big. And I like to think that some of the parts of that, some of the relationships that I brought to the table had something to do with that. With those players being acknowledged to be as good as they were. But to be honest with you, man, we didn't have anything to do with that part of it. Our job was to get those kids exposure, to get them to play against the best of the best competition. And it worked out beautifully, man. I'm probably about 2019, probably 80% of the football players who received athletic scholarships at Division I level, Division II level, came through grassroots. So it was amazing ride, and it's not over, bro. It's coming back. Grassroots is coming back. I tried to let it die. I tried to hold off and, wait for somebody else to come and do it. And nobody else has been able to do it. So I'm gonna have to bring it back. So we coming back in 2027, realistically, because when I come back this time, I know what I need to have early on established. I need to have my financing established. I need to have my sponsorship all established. I need to recruit. I know what I really need to do. I had no idea what I was doing when I met you, bro. I can honestly say that by looking back on it now. I had
Mm-hmm.
no idea what I was doing. I just had a love. I had a passion. I believe I was the guy to do it, because it was my dream It was my passion. Other people tried to stop me, and they failed because it wasn't their dream. It was my dream, and it's still my dream.
Right, man. And sometimes the best plans aren't planned. So, you fell into a situation. Like I said, when I came up there for that event, I was happy coaching at the Boys and Girls Club. I ain't have no vision of joining grassroots and and going in that direction. But at that moment, it just hit me like, personally for my son at that time, like this was the best avenue to get my son the exposure, because his goal, he wanted to play college football at that point. So it
No
was
doubt.
like, okay, how can I set him up for that, and put him in the best position to be able to do that? And boom, there was grassroots, man. And as a sixth grader, and he was a sixth grader then, like I said, we had Antoine Littleton, and for them to have the opportunity to play in the FBU Nationals and travel to out in Virginia, and then to Ohio, and then down to San Antonio, Texas, man, and finish third in the country that year, and then come back seventh grade and make it down to Naples, Florida, man. And unfortunately, we finished third again. Should have won it that year, but it's just for my son personally, man. And I always told you, man, I appreciate everything you did. Even for me, man, you allowed me to build some connections. I got hooked up with the guys from I-5 Elite at the time.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And,
Yes, sir.
Coach Tenardo, me and him still tight to this day. Coach Eric and those guys, Coach Phil, and I was already cool with T. White and the HC Stars, from my Boys and Girls Club days, and
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
down to Coach Bird and Coach Buck down at Maryland Heat, and all of those are my guys, man. And shout out to Bird just getting the job over at St. John's. That's big time for him. And
Big time, bro.
Program. But man, Midnight Rider. If you could, I don't know if you ever heard of it, if you was around during that time, but it was nothing like a grassroots Saturday, man. For 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, you get the opportunity to play at some of the best high school facilities in the DMV. We had Georgetown Prep, we had St. John's, we had the best facilities. We had Riverdale Baptist, we up at Gilman, and we had Calvert Hall. We had the best facilities, man, and you got games going all day long. And like I said, I can sit here and write a list of all the players, and I'm speaking personal now, that my son got to play against that's in the NFL right now. I had the game plan for Marshawn Lord. Like,
it's real.
And
it's real.
7th grade, this dude was jumping over players and hurdling players. And I'm like, man, what in the hell we got going on here? But it made me a better coach, because you had to coach. Like,
you had to coach.
And think that you was going to BS out there on a Saturday in grassroots. You had to go out there and coach against these guys, man. And the staffs were loaded, man. And it was just a great experience.
Man, it was an unbelievable experience. And to create that experience, the one that we created, it was next level. And when I look back on it now, I realized that we had no way to know what we were doing at the time. It looked professional. I mean, it certainly looked it looked professional. It was next level. And I was just doing everything that I thought I could do, but I had no idea how difficult it would be. I had no idea how hard it would be. Like, it looked good on Saturdays. It looked very, very good on Saturdays. You know what I mean? But it was tough for us financially to do all of that stuff. It was very tough, because I looked at that, and when I designed it, I had sponsorship. I had money, man. I had and when we first opened up, I bought uniforms for all the players.
Right.
We got $150,000 in sponsorship. We got from Chad Scott. Chad Scott put up the first money for us to get started. And the first thing we did, we went out and bought, 8 sets of uniforms. It cost $65,000. And we got around to the first year, we get those uniforms out, and we're trying to get the players to play, and like we realized like they weren't cool with paying $100. We're like, you're not cool with paying $100. You know what I mean? I didn't even understand what was going on. Like, but that first year that we played, very first year we played, it was 2010. We played the championship at Bishop McNamara High School. We had the DC All Stars play the Baltimore All Stars for the championship. The stadium was packed. It was unbelievable. We had Doc Walker as the spokesperson for the league, so he was promoting the league all season long. I mean, he was out at all of the games. We had pros at the games, man. But like, you know, being honest with you, and I'm just telling you, you know, because you're a dear friend. At the end of the first year, we were broke, bro.
I believe.
We had zero money. Now everything we did looked fly. It looked unbelievable. We didn't touch grass all summer. Like you name some of the stadiums that we played at. We played at Landon. We played at Georgetown Prep. You know what I mean? We played at all of the nice stadiums. We played at Bullis. You know what I mean? We played at St. John's, Riverdale Baptist. You know what I mean? We played at all of the stadiums that they had spent the money on to get that field turf. You know what I mean? But that stuff is very expensive, and you have to pay for all of that. And I had no revenue that was coming in from the players. You know what I mean? The only thing we got was the $5 that we charged for the game. So I had to put on a show for the games. But I looked up after that first year, man, and I was broke. I had no money, but I couldn't stop. I had to find a way to get that thing back so we could do year 2. And you know, and it was challenging, but it was it was fulfilling. I wouldn't change anything about what happened if I could. I have a lot to look back on now when I'm going to do this thing the second time around. I got so much stuff that I can look back on now that I didn't have anything to look back on because nobody had done anything like that before.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now going forward, I mean, what have you been doing since everything kind of stopped? Are you back in the basketball right now, or are you still in the football?
You know, I can't get out of basketball. You know what I mean? I literally can't get out of it. I can't walk away from this stuff no matter how much I may want to. So I just go start at DeMatha. I go to some DeMatha games and I get excited about it. And they had a freshman class a few years ago that was unbelievable. Those kids are juniors now. So I'm tight with all of those kids, you know what I mean? And I meet so many players, but my heart is football, man. It's football. That's where it is. I've had a bunch of things that have happened to me with regards to, you know, the grassroots football league, man. I had a bunch of seemingly bad things. Everything looked a certain way. They looked bad. But, you know, it's all turned out to the good, man. It's all turned out to show me things. I don't think that I was always a good person. I was always a good person. Like that, there's nobody that can really tell you that I ever did anything to harm anybody. There's some people that just didn't like me because I don't know why they didn't like me. But I was concerned about having everybody like me. You know what I mean? And it hurt me to find out that certain people didn't like me. It's like, I had to learn.
I'm gonna cut you off, Mike. You know why they didn't like you.
I know why.
Anytime something new comes around and it conflicts with how things have been done in the past, and I'm talking about youth football, and you know, there's certain people that, you know, they was making their living off of youth football, and they ain't want nobody else coming in and stepping in their territory. And you come in with this great venue, this great avenue, and most of the coaches, most of the leagues out there started hating. It's as simple as that. It ain't nothing to sugarcoat. They were hating on the new product in town, and because it was better than their product. So that's basically what it comes down to.
You know, man, it was just so tough because the way I tried to set it up. Hold on, Uh-oh.
Yeah, I still hear you. It look like you're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah,
But yeah, he might come back in. But Midnight Rider, man, youth football is a crazy world.
No, I know. I mean, my buddy, I think he was tied into Maryland Heat for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Now he's down in Florida as a referee. But yeah, we kind of had him on in the pasture seat, and he was talking about just some of the challenges and the changes that they were dealing with. Anytime you got the kids involved, you have those that have the kids' best interest and those that have their best interest involved.
Right. Right. And it looks like we got Coach back with us. Can you hear us, Coach?
I'm trying to talk, but I think something wrong.
Yeah, it sounds like there's something wrong with your phone. We can't hear what you're saying. There's some noise in the background.
Yeah, he done hit a bad spot or something.
Yeah, he must hit a bad spot. We'll see if he come back on in there. But yeah, like you're saying, Maryland Heat was one of the big programs in grassroots football. Like I said, Terrence Bird, now the coach at St. John's, he was the head of Maryland Heat. Him and Coach Buck, man, and they came in with Mike Anderson and kind of helped stabilize the league, the grassroots league, man. And when Maryland Heat came on the scene, it was Westlake Bulldogs. And when they came in and got out of that Charles County football area, they came into the Capital Beltway League, and I was coaching at Law during that time. And their first year, I think every single team except for one went undefeated during that season. And they just came and took it over as a storm. Well, Mike, I can see you, but yeah, we can't hear you. It's like a humming or buzzing noise in the background.
You might have to take it off with a Bluetooth.
Yeah, you might have to take the Bluetooth off.
Probably not be able to do that because that's probably where he got his signal from.
Yeah.
You might have just bring him back. See if we can bring him back in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'll take him off there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, and it was like you can see that the team started to gravitate to grassroots, and that kind of made some of the other leagues out there get a little pissed off, a little upset because grassroots was the thing. So let's try one more time and see if we can get them in there.
Yeah,
he must have hit a bad spot.
Yeah, West phone's down on him.
Yeah, he had a bad spot. So man, and that's where the hate came into, man. And and every challenge that Mike faced, man, and I'm glad. I mean, I'm upset that we lost him here, man, because he mentioned earlier that he had a battle with leukemia when he was at the University of Maryland, man, and it almost it kind of sidelined his playing career for a little bit. He did come back, and during the grassroots year, man, he was doing a lot. He was sacrificing a lot of his time, a lot of his family's time, and he wound up getting sick again. And let's see if we got him back. I'm gonna try him again because this is my guy. You might have to disconnect from your car, Coach. Well, you might have to disconnect from your car and go straight to your phone. Let's see if we get it right. Yeah, and he was doing a lot for people, man, and you know how it is when we're ripping and running as guys. We don't take care of ourselves, man, and he got sick again, and he had to battle, his cancer again, man, and that it's one of those things, man, where he's a perfect example of pouring his all into something, and you know how it is. Sometimes you don't get your flowers, Sometimes you don't get your flowers while you're here, but I'm gonna give him his flowers, man, because I know personally what this guy and his platform did for me and my son, and I'll never forget that. Can you hear us, Mike?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep, we got you now.
It's messed up because I have less than 5% power on my doggone phone, and I can't, and I try to plug it up to the car, and when and the car is something with this Bluetooth that you can't hear me, man. This technology is amazing.
Yeah, but it's a
It
pain in the
truly
butt.
is amazing, but it leads you down a sense of false security. So I apologize for this one, brother. I'm so sorry about this, man.
And it ain't no problem, man. And like I said, I know you only got 5%, and we getting close to the end of the show. But if you
Okay.
open to it, man, my co-host Midnight Rider has another show during the week called In the Passenger Seat. And
Okay.
if you're willing to come back on in the future, man, on his show, man, and speak some more on your story, man, I think that'd be a great show, man, because like I said, you
Man,
might go.
I'm just trying to tell you, I just want to come back and I want to finish this. It was getting so good. But I promise you, when I come back, I will be at my computer. I will not move from the computer. This is totally on me. This is not on these guys. So everybody that's listening to this show, these brothers, their setup is perfect, man. I'm impressed. I'm so blown away at what you guys have done. This is totally on me. This is my fault, and I apologize for it. And I promise that if you bring me back, I certainly will come back and give you a good, 30 minutes or however much time we have.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, look, before you go, go ahead, Midnight. Say what you're gonna say.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now I was gonna say, I still know you still got your ear to the ground on the football scene, man. But so what do you think about PG County football and the state that it's in right now?
Man, let me tell you something, man. I love Prince George's County. Period. End of story. And I know that unfortunately there's only 1% of athletes. Only 1%, only 1 out of 100 athletes that are going to get the opportunity to go forward and play college, man. You know what I mean? It's like we get about 43, 44 kids from this area that go on to play college. And there's so many more than that. There are about 30% of the athletes in Prince George's County that are good enough to play. At the skill position, it is ridiculous. At skill position, there's some schools out there in the county that don't have the linemen necessarily. You know what I mean? To be able to play big time football, because there are only a few linemen. And the big schools, the ones that have those big reputations over the years, you know what I mean? They offer those kids money to come play, and most of those big kids, they're at different schools. But man, I'm telling you, every single solitary school in Prince George's County, you got ballers that can play. And there's a couple big kids over at the county schools as well, kids that can play. And unfortunately, they aren't seen. They aren't found necessarily, and I'm upset about that, man, and I'm just blown about that. And that's one of the reasons why we did Grassroots Youth Football League. Grassroots, we you're talking about 30 kids. We had 8 different regions there, but 240 kids that we are going to get exposure to, no matter what school they go to. You know what I mean? And I believe that. And I know that is true, man. And so I gave my heart and my soul to making sure that those kids get seen. And I can't sleep to know that it's gone and it didn't come back. So I'm gonna bring it back, bro. I'm coming back, and when I'll tell you a little bit more, I'll tell you a whole lot more about how I'm coming back when I come back on to do your show again.
Okay.
I'll give you all of the details. So it's gonna be nice, and it's nice and simple and easy for cats to know about us. But I appreciate you for having me on the show. I'm so sorry that I didn't have the communication is right like I needed to have it. But I appreciate you guys, man. This is a fabulous show, and I wish you guys nothing but success.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it, man. And like I said, we're gonna get you back, between my show and Midnight Riders in the passenger seat, man. And we're gonna get you back on because, like I said, I know you got a message for everybody, man. And there's a plan. When you disconnected, I was telling Midnight Rider, there's a plan on your life, and
Yes.
and your plan hasn't been fulfilled yet, because
Yes.
that's why you're still here. All the battles and the struggles, that you've been through. I may not have been talking to you every day, but trust me, I was praying for you every day, and I still continue to pray for you. And there's a plan, and you ain't fulfilled that plan yet, and that's why you still here with us.
Yes, sir. I believe you, bro. You're so right, and we're gonna get into that plan when you guys get me back on again.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man. Take care, bro.
Go, man. So charge that phone so you don't be sitting there. You know how you older people
I'm about
are.
to be dead on this phone.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mike.
Take
Have
care,
a good
man.
one,
God bless you all.
Same to you,
All
bro.
right, man. Take care.
Right. All right, that was Coach Mike Anderson, founder of Grassroots Football, former DeMatha Stag, former Maryland Terp, man, and, a great guy, man, a great overall guy. And we definitely going to have to get him back between the two shows, Midnight Rider, man.
Right.
Sure. I think he'll be a good guest on the end of passenger seat, man, because, he's a storyteller and he got some stories to tell.
He started to remind me. I was joking with somebody the other day, and you'll know this name, Jimmy Patsos. So you can like, I watched Jimmy Patso do an interview, or I've listened to him do interviews, and they'll ask one question, and Jimmy Patsos will go for 10 minutes.
Right.
name 10 players, 5 colleges, or where they went to school, and this and that. And he somehow tied all together, and at the end, he make a point, and you just like, that's just the genius of storytelling, man, and just being able to mix words and make words match. But yeah, man, I love Patsos when he comes on, like
on 980. Yeah. Yep.
The other dude we had, Chris Barcia on our show. I think he was our first guest for the passenger seat, and like he went on like a 15-minute run, and I just sat back and was just like, all right, let's see where this ends. And it's just some guys that you can just let them talk and just go. We got a guy coming up soon that's the same way, and it's just, you just sit back and watch. Sometimes you ain't got to do your job.
Yep. You ain't got to do your job. You just let people talk. Hey, look, that's why some of the guests I done brought on, because I know they can talk. So I ain't got to work too hard.
That's it.
Yep. Hey, man. Hey, look, I done stuck to my time limit today, man. I did a good job. So good job, man. Another great show, man. And you know how we're gonna end it, man. What's going on this week? Let me know what's coming up.
So tomorrow night, of course, at 8 p.m., we have the Tuesday night flight. Wednesday, in the passenger seat is back. We should have a live guest on Wednesday. Thursday night, of course, is the Thursday night throwdown. Saturday, the WrestleManiacs. I know last week they covered some of SummerSlam, but SummerSlam was 2 nights this week, so I don't think they did an emergency show. So you should get some of that on the upcoming episode. Sunday morning is the Sunday Rise, where we like to have a little fun, figure out what you're eating, talk about some topics, and then we come back to Monday. And Monday we got the powerhouses. We got the drive time at 5, and we got the Pretenders and Contenders at 7. So I've already seen the lineup, but I don't want to spoil your lineup and let you do that. Tell people what you got coming out next on next Monday.
Yeah, well, hey man, before I say that, man, I'm just telling y'all, all the listeners and viewers out there, man, if you haven't subscribed to the Sideline Junkies on YouTube yet, go do it. Like I said, if you can't catch shows live, like I always can't catch Maddie's show, the drive time at 5, because I'm usually at practice at that time. But I go back and listen to everything, man. But go check out these shows, man. My coach Marcus just said Sunday Rise was lit yesterday, and go check out these shows, man, because I mean, even if I don't catch them from the beginning, I just hop on late, man. It's still a great show, and then I go back and listen and watch at my earliest convenience, man. So everybody that's listening to me, check out these shows, man.
Yeah, yesterday we got in a rabbit hole just out the break. We were talking about the 91 Commanders team, Redskins team that won the Super Bowl. And me and KG got in, started flexing. Like, I wanted to name lineups and things of that nature. So we had some fun, man. It's always about just having fun and seeing what we know, man. And I like this because this y'all talk about the brotherhood and the PG County coaches, but it's real. Like, y'all not faking this. This is real. Every time a coach comes on, I feel like y'all got a script, but it's not, because it's what y'all mean.
Right.
And before we go, Coach, you got to tell them about next Monday, what you got going on during the day at the PG County Coaches Media Day.
Yep. So I was gonna hit that up real quick. Next week on the show, we got Law High School basketball state championship. Amadou Kaloga, who's headed to Bowie State to play basketball there. You know, my guy said he had to come on for at least 5 minutes, so I'm bringing my guy on. And then we got Coach Ronnie Crump, head football coach at Potomac High School. He's coming on to talk about, you know, his upcoming season, his coaching career, and his program, man. And then, you know, during the daytime, man, and, you know, I'm excited about this. We got the Prince George's County Football Coaches Association Media Day, where we highlighting all of our 1A, 2A, 3A schools from 10 to 12. And then we do the 4A schools from 12 to 2 down at the Athletic Republic, the old run and shoot, man. And, you know, it's an opportunity for all the teams to showcase their program, the upcoming season. And we get to bring some of our key players down, man, and get interviewed by some of the platforms out there. And, you know, Coach Devon, I'm going to be down there, man, and I'm going to record a couple of interviews with some kids and some players and some coaches, and I'm going to play them throughout the show next week, man. So I was going to try to do a live show from down there, but the signal in there is so bad that it wouldn't work. So I figured the best way to do it was to go ahead and record somewhat like y'all did at the boxing event, you know, record some interviews and then play them on the show as we go. So that's what I'm going to do, man. And just like I said, and another event, an avenue for us to highlight and showcase PG County athletics and our upcoming football season.
Yeah, that's work, man. I like that.
Yep. So that's it for me today, man. You got anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good, man. Again, all I gotta do is play sidekick. You take the lead. I'm like Fife. You like, you know, Q-Tip. That's all it is.
There we go. Except I'm not going out the country and staying over there for nah, I'm gonna stay right where I'm at.
I got you, Coach.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate everybody for checking in, man, and chiming in. And like I said, another great show, man. And again, I'm loving this opportunity, man. We're just gonna keep it rolling, man. It's gonna get better and better each week.
For sure.
We'll speak to y'all on next Monday. Everybody have a good week. Make sure you check in with the Sideline Junkies on YouTube all week long. Jump in and tell them Coach Devon sent you to check in on the shows, man. And trust me, you're gonna see Midnight Ride in about 99.9% of the shows. The hardest working man in podcast land.
All right, it's only one I don't do, bro.
Hey, man. Let's Coach Sandra. She's saying great show, Coach Devon. Thank you, Coach Sandra. That's one of our cheer coaches at law. And hey, man, I'll give you back the rest of your evening. Look, now I got to get ready for a football staff meeting with my coaches. So,
all right, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you as always, and I see you next week.
All right, likewise, man. Talk to you.
All right.